now it is time for the 9.1.5 content update. So let's get into this.
Yep.
This is
Good stuff.
an initial look, and it's mostly, good and true and all of those things. All right. Covenant updates. Players who reach max renown for their covenant will be able to freely switch among any of the 4 covenants without cooldown or restriction. That's pretty cool. Do you know what would be real big humongo business?
What?
If you could just hit the talent
Yeah.
thing in your keyboard, and you
Me.
could go from whatever you are
Divine Toll carrying.
into
Event there for Ashen Hollow.
bang. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be incredible. Well, there is, it's weird. I can actually see there being some, they didn't build the game that way.
No, they didn't.
So I can understand why that would maybe take, if they want to do it, it would take significantly longer. And I really, I couldn't be fucking bothered switching Covenant between pulls. But I mean, first time we raid in 9.1.5, I will absolutely be running Ashen Hollow to see how it feels.
Have I
versus
got it?
Divine Toll.
Could a solution there be something where you can summon an NPC? Because if you think about the likes of the Great Vault,
Yeah.
there's no technical reason why you can't activate the Great Vault, but your character's in Narnia. Right?
I mean, I think so.
surely. I mean,
yeah, because remember there was the command to open the UI, and then they added the actual UI opening.
yeah.
So
yeah, precisely. So, is there a way where you can just give us something where we spawn a little NPC, that NPC appears beside your character, and, you can use that to basically swap a covenant, so you don't have to hearth, to a covenant hall, do a thing, switch, come back. So that's maybe a thought. But anyway.
before we go any further, I want to say one thing. Players who reach max renown for their covenant, come on now. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm nitpicking at this point, but I will nitpick until the cows come home until they learn their fucking lesson. But 80 renown's a lot of renown.
Yeah, it's like the renown catch-up is fast, but you get it one at a time, and 80 steps is a lot of steps.
I mean, also, this is 9.1.5, so it'll be a significant while away yet. But we are still 8 weeks away from max renown.
Oh, wow.
Which means if the patch is before 8 weeks, then this shit won't be available at launch. This won't be good for people who want to log in and swap a covenant with no restrictions who haven't played. So
Yeah.
I can understand the want to have it max renown, but it should probably be 60 instead of 80 because that implies we've done the
Fair.
Corthia campaign at least.
Fair.
Because
And
rough
if we're going to take them at their word, that's good feedback, and there's a chance that could be implemented into the game. So,
only hope
maybe. As they continue here, cosmetic rewards, including pets and mounts that have been earned from that covenant, will thereafter be available regardless of your membership in a different one. Covenant switching and the use of cosmetic rewards will also apply to any alternate characters once renown threshold has been reached on one character. Big.
Good.
Big and good. Conduit energy is being removed, and conduits will be freely swappable without any restrictions. I mean, based on their original logic, the game's basically dead now that this change has been made. Okay, I'm being a bit of a dick. Moving on. Completing a Covenant campaign on one character will allow alternate characters the ability to skip that same Covenant's campaign, earning the renown and a third soulbind unlock immediately without needing to replay the full narrative arc. That is great. But you've already heard that from the segment we just did. So let's get into some of the newer stuff then. New character customizations. A variety of new character customizations are being introduced for the Nightborn and Lightforged Draenei, along with additional updates to ear size options for Void Elves, new travel forms for Druids, and new soul shapes for the Night Fae. Sound stuff, and there is a visual preview here. I mean, that's not Nightborn, that's Lightforged Draenei. Looking pretty good.
Did they get the Draenei sidebreed?
I do not know.
Scroll right.
Scroll right.
I don't see it. Fuck. Game's dead.
We're getting there. We're getting there. This is good stuff. This is what we want to see. And then again, for the Nightborns out there, there's a little sampling of some of the new character customization effects that you guys are going to be getting. And that's great because the poor Nightborns are busted.
Yep.
Now, for those of you who've really been wanting High Elves, and I know because one thing that me and Ian Hazacostas actually very much do have in common is we both pissed off the High Elf fans during BFA. Sorry about that one, I suppose. And maybe they agree too, because you can now have natural hair color options for the Void Elves. And that's pretty big because it kind of just makes them Alliance High Elves, albeit with Void powers, which, even if you don't want the Void powers, like for the people who want to RP a High Elf, this should be enough to let them do their thing. Does that affect me? No. Does it positively affect another type of WoW player? Yes. And that is something I am very happy about. Okay. Let's get into the shit we didn't know. Now, I'll tell you what, this is interesting, and I wonder for Mr. Dratnos and Mr. Tettles, they actually suggested per season adding 1 or 2 Mythic Plus dungeons, time walking ones, into the M Plus pool to keep it varied. So an interesting idea. Not happening, but here's what is happening. Introducing Legion Time Walking. Delve back into Legion dungeons with Legion Time Walking and take on the challenges within, including access to Legion Mythic Plus dungeons. This event will run for 2 weeks, the first time it runs within the game, and will resume a regular 1-week schedule for subsequent bonus events. So that's where I'm going to say, hey, Blizz, you lot, and this is covered in Matt's upcoming video, but you lot have been making this game for a long time. And as a part of that, you have a lot of content inside game. Now, I'm not necessarily saying always have time walking all of the time, but I will certainly advocate for more time walking more regularly. So I don't know how that's possible. I personally would be okay if a time walking week could overlap with another bonus event week. I mean, there's a lot of people, they see it's pet battle week. That ain't their thing. There's nothing there. Why not also do time walking along with pet battles and along with the world quests so that some of the instanced content players who maybe aren't so much into the pet battles and doing the world quests, so that they have maybe a bit of spice to do. Just an idea. If you're doing stuff like this, I mean, accessibility to that is a good thing. Mawscape. Players who have completed the introduction in the Maw on one character will be able to speak to High Lord Darian Morgraine in the capital cities to skip it on their alternate characters on their account. And as much as it is a crispy serving of XP, it's pretty dreary. So that is a great move. Next up, another one we've covered before, Island Expeditions queue solo or with a party. Players who want to take on Island Expeditions are now able to queue for them solo or enter with a party on normal, heroic, and mythic difficulties. There are a bounty of awards just waiting to be plundered. Yes, absolutely. For a bunch of people, right? They innocently just wanted to go get some mogs, go get some mounts. And it was a bit of a pain in the ass because you had to do it with a group and queue up, do all of that. Now you can just do it solo. Now, if you're doing a gigapool in the island, you go to use some of your AoE abilities, and you realize the AoE cap's a thing. Ooh. So it's the weird thing where there's a bit of me that just wants to say, remove the AoE cap in legacy content. And then there's the other bit of me that says, very inconsistent game mechanics makes for a confusing player experience. So I don't know, man, but the situation there with the AoE cap is certainly not ideal for a gameplay type like this, but it is good that this is happening. So thumbs up there. Talent and ability improvements. In 9.1.5, we are working on additional updates to a variety of class talents and class abilities, including conduits, rune carving, and covenant class ability tuning. So, good. Have to see how, of course, that is when it actually comes out. Allied race unlocks. Allied races such as the Kalterans, Mechanomes, and Dark Iron Dwarves, which had a dungeon requirement to unlock them, will no longer need to complete the associated quest in order to gain access to those races. Players will be able to skip ahead. Next, additional travel points in the Maw. Players will be able to take advantage of additional fast travel options from Venari's Refuge to Perdition Hold and Desmatron. Oh, great. Don't have to do that friggin' run with all of Hellia's chunky fellows, biting at your heels. So that's great. So we can unlock access to those, get around them all a bit easier. Good shit. Remote anima turn-ins. Completing quests from Archivist Rosur will provide access to an anima diverter within Korthia where anima can be directly deposited. So that's handy. I'm sure we're all very used to the experience of our bags being utterly stuffed. I mean, I would prefer it if just you get the item and it's immediately redeemed for both anima and these things, but maybe there's a reason why they can't, and I'll take a move in the right direction. Transmogrification linking. Show off your complete transmog outfit to chat or online by easily sharing a link from the dressing room. Players will be able to mouse over these items to see how they can be collected, if they've already collected the appearance, or if it's an appearance that is accessible to the character viewing it. Great.
That was interesting, because that comes like across to me like a really out of the box improvement. Like, I don't know who asked for that. I've never seen anyone mention this is like a possibility, but it means someone, especially someone, because that would require, actual programming work. That means someone sat down with an engineer, maybe the engineer did it themselves, and went, what would be nice?
Yeah.
What would be good for players to have? And obviously you can go, well, the rest of the game's fucking falling apart. So, maybe do something a bit more useful with your time. But, removing that because you don't know how these teams are like organized, there's a decent chance that was someone go, I've got like an afternoon free to do whatever I want to, or, maybe I'll work on overtime. Here's a nice thing that like a small portion of players will have. That's it. World of Warcraft, a lot of the need to haves are of, let's say, worse quality than we would like, but the nice to haves haven't existed.
Yeah.
And now here's a nice to have. That's completely out of left field. And you're like, fuck, sweet. Thank you. More of this, please.
Speaking of some of that good shit, my dude, alt leveling improvements. A variety of improvements will be introduced in support of a smoother leveling experience. A smoother experience leveling alternate characters through Shadowlands, such as an additional rank of heirloom upgrades, and improvements to Threads of Fate, such as the addition of Torghast as an option. Good. And renown gain for completing bonus objectives. Good. And I would also say, if there was a way that a character leveling up fresh in the Shadowlands, who has, of course, using Threads of Fate, signed up to a covenant, let them, because, Threads of Fate, logically, your character is put into the world state of level 60, but your character is level 50 and just does side shit to level up. So in that case, because you guys have got scaling tech, let people level up through the Covenant campaign. That would be another different way for people to do things, I think that would be great. And like, look, if you could get, I don't know how many levels. There's a version of this, because, look, I've been playing the FF14 MSQ. Really? There's a version of this where, I don't know, what a surprise, where if you get from 50 to 60 just by doing the 9 or 10 chapters of the 9.0 Covenant campaign, that feels like a good varied experience. Your character then is level 60, has got a bunch of anima gear unlocked that they can immediately upgrade to a good state. Surely that is a better alt experience. Yeah. Now, there's something else here. PvP gear power adjustments. Lower item level PvP gear will now scale to a higher item level in PvP situations than before. This should reduce the power level gap so the new characters can feel they're able to compete in battlegrounds and arenas more readily. This change will not affect high item level PvP gear. Honestly, with this, I can only analyze this once I actually see it in PTR and know what's going on. I will say, though, Renown gating those honor gear upgrades, big suck. It was a big suck in 9.0. It is a big suck in 9.1. Remove. Rune carving recipes. Drop rates for rune carving recipes will be increased to 100% in any dungeon difficulty. Again, good.
Determinism in my fucking video game, please. None of this random bullshit. Like, randomness is fine, but randomness can't be layered.
What's the game? What's the game? Is the game... It's like... Imagine if you're playing with toys as a child. Yeah. But instead of getting a Lego set and playing with your Lego set, 90% of your time playing is like spent getting bits of Lego. Because, imagine you've lost all your Lego pieces and you've got to scavenge them from around your room. And, oh, why are my Lego blocks, in the basement in a disused filing cabinet? You're spending all of your time, not all your time, but, you're spending so much time acquiring your legendary recipes, leveling up your legendaries, crafting your legendaries. That's not the gameplay. The gameplay is cool legendary effects on your character to have fun with, so that then that bolsters and supports the content you want to do, such as M+, raiding, etc. And whenever Blizzard juiced up the acquisition rates of Legion Legos, and for those people who stuck around through Legion and then just had all of the Legos by 7.3, they had a lot of fun with that. So that's a good change. Also,
here's the thing about the random stuff, right? And here's something that obviously they have people who know mathematics, because they have that's what a lot of the system designers do, because there's a lot of complex shit going on in World of Warcraft. Anyone who has vaguely studied any probability from like a primary school level will know that if you chain probabilities, if you roll a dice twice, you've just added extreme outliers. If you roll a dice 15 times, the probability of the desired outcome is can be so unbelievably low that you have this uncontrollable spread of probability from even layering a little bit of randomness. Like, just imagine how that feels for players on the worst side of it, and ask, is that ever worth the higher side of it? And I think the answer is no. Keep probability, keep randomness constrained, and then it will be a nicer time for everyone else, and also give people things to work towards that they'll fucking get. Because I mean, I don't know, you don't go to a restaurant, hand over your money, and say, give me a box. Will the box have food in it or not? I don't know. But that's the thing, money and time are, they're separable in ways, obviously, with video games, but it's the same concept. You don't want to go do something and not get a fucking reward. No one wants to do that. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you can get 2 rewards. Because, I mean, maybe the restaurant analogy falls apart because you don't want to get a box with 2 meals in it, but you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I would rather get some VP and JP than, even if in absolute terms my gearing was faster, in the casino. Personally, I'd rather just work on it, slow and steady. Good, honorable plotter. That's kind of my vibe, I suppose. So we got the final thing then, which is Battle for Azeroth Legacy Loot Rules. Legacy Loot Rules will be enabled for players at level 60 in all Battle for Azeroth raids and dungeons, causing encounters to drop the number of items they would randomly drop for a 5-player dungeon party or 20-player raid. And this is really good. Because, okay, this would be so good if Battle for Azeroth had class sets.
Yeah.
As it stands, it's only a regular good. But fair enough. This is more stuff, because a lot of people dropped off BFA. This is just more ways for people to play the game. What if a little 3-person or 4-person group of us goes, one night does Eternal Palace? Because I didn't do Eternal Palace. You didn't do Eternal Palace? You didn't?
No.
Yeah. Good. Better way to engage with the game.
Yeah, and here's another layer of thought. Imagine if, you wouldn't have to do this, of course, but imagine there was an option to level sync down.
Oh.
Doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be vaguely closer to reasonably difficult. Just imagine that option was there. Because level syncs in the game, right? It's there. You know how to sync levels. The balance isn't perfect, but you have the ability to sync levels. Why not just give it a fucking whirl? Give it a try. Even if you want to try it on PTR, set up a raid test night for this with level sync enabled. Even if you get only a couple of groups, you've got data, you've got an opinion of whether or not it's worth shipping, and then you've just massively improved how much game you have immediately, because now your 17 years of old content isn't in the dust.
Mm-hmm.
It's just small little things like that, because level syncs the game. It sucks, but it's there.
Yeah.
Why not give it a spin?
You wouldn't have been playing that Final Fantasy 14, would you?
Actually, no. I haven't been fucking time to play it this week.
Oh, sad.